here to bring you a very quick bookshelf tour. It's going to be very quick because I only have 2 bookshelves and they're only half full, but I've recently moved into my new apartment here in Tokyo. The air conditioning isn't even working yet. That's how new this thing is, but I did go out and buy a couple of shelves, and all the books that have arrived from Scotland, from Kuwait, from America are now here. I thought there would be maybe merit in showing you these shelves very quickly, how they look right now, so that in, 6 months, a year's time, when I have a bit more of an established office set up, I can show you the bookshelves one more time and you can see what I've done with the place. Okay, here's the order of service. We've got 2 shelves, shelf number 1 and shelf number 2. Shelf number 1 is the unread books shelf. All of these I have not read or are in the process of reading or have read so long ago I feel like I'm due a reread. These books over here is the red shelf, right? The stuff that I've already read, feel kind of satiated with, and I've kind of put in a place of honor rather than donating. So let's just go top to bottom, shall we? And let's not start with a book. Let's start with Viking Chess, because I read Vinland Saga. Must have been 2 years ago now. And shortly after, I went to Inverness and I got an Ithtavel. I have never won a game of Viking chess. I introduce people to Viking chess and then they always beat me. But I do like this set. It's quite lovely to have. Over here, we have the books that I'm currently reading. The Judging Eye by R. Scott Baker. I don't know if you can see that. That's On the Incarnation by Athanasius. I'm doing an offline buddy read with a friend through kind of patristics, old church fathers, old documents, things like that. And then the 2 bricks under that, Bold Ascension and Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon by Matt Dinneman and Von Roycroft. Loving Bold Ascension. Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon, I'm a bit lukewarm on, which is a shame because I love Dungeon Crawler Carl. Anyway, expect a review for Kaiju Battlefield Surgeon probably coming soon, and I'll probably wait till I've wrapped up Von's trilogy to have a good talk about that. Moving down a shelf. And again, these are in no particular order. They're kind of in an order. They're kind of in terms of height, right? If you look down here compared to here, you'll see the height difference. Aside from that, there is no rhyme or reason. We've got The Spear Cuts Through Water, recommended by Evie and bought by me. I saw it in Tokyo. I thought, yes, please. I've got Sailing to Sarantium by Guy Gabriel Kay. I need more K in my life. Streets of Laredo, the sequel to Lonesome Dove. I believe it's book 2 in publication order and book 4 chronologically in the story. I'm really excited to get to that. It's much shorter than Lonesome Dove. Moving on, Swan Song by Robert McCalman. Summer of Night by Dan Simmons. All of Lord of the Rings. Now, I'm planning to get to Lord of the Rings soon. I quite like these kind of janky old covers, to be honest. Look at these. There we go. I'm really excited to read Lord of the Rings. I've never read it fully cover to cover. It's something I'm planning to get to very shortly. It's on my TBR before the end of the year. I'll fix that later. We've got some short novels by Faulkner. Again, never read any Faulkner. Lies of Loch Lamora, I have been carrying around for, no joke, about 7 or 8 years. My mother-in-law got it for me as a present, and I keep meaning to read it, and it's never just quite felt like the time. Ender's Game, Anathema by Neil Stevenson. Yeah, good tidy selection of books there. Let me put this back, see if I can do it one-handed. Yeah, good. Right, let's move down a shelf. Here we've got books 2, 3, 4 in the Aspect Emperor series by R. Scott Baker. The Unholy Consort looks like a brick, but my understanding is about 40% of this book is glossary. So we'll see what that's like when we get to it. Next to it is The Devils, Howling Dark, Demon in White by Joe Abercrombie and Christopher Rocchio. You'll notice that I don't have Empire of Silence, and I know I joke about not liking Empire of Silence. The reality is it's not there because it got lost in the post. A few of my books did not make it through the transfer from Scotland to Japan, unfortunately. And one of them was Empire of Silence. I packed everything in real kind of solid cardboard boxes, but I guess not solid enough because I've lost Empire of Silence. Unfortunately, Philip Chase's Way of Adan also went missing, the lovely broken binding edition, as well as Maria Mulaney's work. So unfortunate, but it is what it is. Passports are still there, wallet is still there, children are still there. So it's unfortunate, but there are worse things in the world. Moving next, we've got A Drowned Kingdom and the Last of the Atlanteans by P.L. Stewart. Very much looking forward to getting to those. Those are going to be part of a buddy read that I am doing in, I believe November. I don't know if that's confirmed or not. And then here we've got, forgive me, we've got Horror Store by Grady Hendrix, which I mentioned on a live stream a little while ago. I'm really excited to get to this. It's kind of like a horror, IKEA, spoofy sort of a novel. It looks experimental, it looks fun, it looks a bit kooky. Yeah, psyched to get to that. But let's move on down the shelf. Okay, and this is where I start to like do a bit of a squat to try and get to these unread books. The Melancholy of Untold Story. I have no idea what it's about. I was in a cafe and my mate gave it to me and said, you should read this. And I said, okay. So here it is on the shelf. We've got Kings of Paradise by Richard Nell. Apparently a really fabulous indie book. In fact, the next 4 are all fabulous indie books. We've got that. We've got Discovery by the Mintons, J.A.J. Minton. And then we've got K.E. Andrews, The Assassin of Grins and Secrets, and Wild Skies. And I am so excited to get all 4 of those books, if I'm honest with you. They're all calling to me. And we'll just have to see how my time goes. But yeah, looking forward to getting to those. We've then got Black Sun Rising by C.S. Friedman. Now, I almost threw this out during the Unhaul stream with Evie and Anitha. And then someone screamed at me in the chat, or maybe it was Evie or Anitha, saying, do not toss that book out. It's hard to come by. It's another book I've had for years. I love the cover. Someone gushed about it to me a decade ago, and it's been there ever since. If you've read it, let me know if I should get to it sooner rather than later. But I'll move this over here for now. The next one I have is The Order of Dirt, which is by actually a friend from off of BookTube, David J. Mitchell. He is a sculptor in his regular life, and this is his debut. And I'm very excited to get to it. And when I do read it, I'm going to have him on a live stream to talk about his writing process, because I'm very interested in that. But moving on, Living Wisely with the Church Fathers, that's another patristic text as a part of my kind of ongoing buddy read. No Longer Human. Now, hang on, let me put this one back. This is so hard to do one-handed when you're 6 feet tall. Ooh, forgive me. You know what? Let's do a cut. Sorry, I'm probably giving you motion sickness. This is the... Oh, I'm an idiot. This is the manga version of No Longer Human by Osamu Dazai, and it's Junji Ito who wrote Uzumaki, who wrote Tomie. This is his adaptation of that work. Now, I read No Longer Human about 7 or 8 years ago, and have never read the manga version. Excited to get to it. It's kind of the constant refrain. I mean, I wouldn't have brought all this stuff across a continent if I wasn't excited to get to it, huh? And speaking of excited, Prophet of Adan and Return to Adan. Hang on, let me put this one back. Okay, Prophet of Adan, Return to Adan, books 2 and 3 of Philip Chase's Adan trilogy. Now, as I just told you, I had book 1 and it's gotten lost in the post, so someone somewhere is enjoying that lovely broken binding edition. It isn't me. I might rebuy book 1, or maybe I'll just listen to the audiobook that Alan's done. And that could be a good way to reread that, but it does look a bit sad on my shelf, doesn't it? Moving on, these are some books I picked up in India back in, when was that, February? So I've got the Evergreen Legends of Kerala and Malayalam Stories. Did I butcher that? A book of short stories that I'm really excited to get to. I'm a short story guy, and in fact, let's move on this way. Look, we're doing a horizontal shift. You can't predict what I'm going to do, because here is Ray Bradbury's stories. I think it's 100 out of like 600 that he's written. So yeah, I actually thought this was his complete set of short stories. Apparently, it's volume 1 of 6, or his best, the cream of the crop, if you like. But if I like these, I'd probably aim to read all of Ray Bradbury's bibliography, because what I have read, he's very accessible. He kind of seems like Stephen King adjacent to me. So I'd be more than happy to read all of the Ray Bradbury, depending on how this thick boy goes down here. We then have the Saga of Darren Shan. This was signed by Darren Shan. This is book 1, Cirque de Freak, in that series. It was a lovely kind of experience to meet Darren Shan, and actually he's coming on the channel before too long. So yeah, really happy to have that signed copy. I've put it here in the unread pile just because Anna and I are going to reread it for our buddy read. And we finished the Demonata. We're going to move on to Shan's other stuff shortly. So I've put it here for now. Next to Margaret Atwood's The Penelopead, and then the Complete Books of Babel Quartet. And this looks very lovely, but you'll notice that these ones are papery and this one is plasticky, which somewhat winds me up. But we will we'll forgive whoever sold these items in a charity shop and move on, shall we? Complete Works of Milton, a thriller by Tim Weaver, and I think this is a second edition of The Wasp Factory by Ian M. Banks. Another book that got lost in the post was The Hydrogen Sonata, book 10 of Banks's culture novels. What are you going to do? Next up, we've got George R.R. Martin's Dream Songs, The Rift War Saga, book 2. Book 1 also got lost in the post. I believe that's everything. I think I lost about 8 books. And you know what? There's about 100 here, so it could have been a lot worse. But yeah, pretty gutting when you've got book 2 without book 1. And then have a book of Chinese poetry. Poetry is something I really want to get into a little bit more going forward. It's something that sort of has fallen by the wayside as I became a father. It's something that I stopped doing, and I love poetry and I want to get back to it. I also want to get to The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. The Selected Letters of Charles Dickens. I'm going to skip past this for now. Destiny's Doom, which is book 3 in the Sundered Nation trilogy by Von Roycroft. And then The Butterfly Cafe, which is an indie book written by someone who I went to a writer's workshop with back in like 7 or 8 years ago, Diane Nagatomo. I think I'm actually part of the, what's it called? The thanks at the end. So I'm looking forward to reading that. It's been on my shelf again for a couple of years, and there's no reason I haven't gotten to it. I just haven't gotten to it yet. And then I got a Father's Day card, which I thought was so cute. I've kept it. It wasn't from my children. It was from someone else's children, but they still gave me a Father's Day card. So I think it's lovely. Right, moving on. Last shelf of the unread shelf. Right, Guy Gavriel Kay's The Summer Tree, the Bhagavad Gita, Mallory's The Death of King Arthur, which I'm going to be getting to soon as part of a buddy read that's yet to be announced, a signed copy of Fearsome Engine by Ian M. Banks, Italo Calvino, China Mayville, Jeff Vandermeer, Percy Shelley, Dan Simmons, Shogun by Blood by Salt, going to get to that soon, The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. This was recommended to me by Joanna. She did preface it by saying it's one of the darkest, bleakest books she's ever read, so we'll see. And then I have the first book in the Blackwater. By the way, bear in mind that Joanna loves R. Scott Baker. So if this is worse than R. Scott Baker in some ways, we'll see what happens. And then we have Michael McDowell's Blackwater, book 1. Is that book upside down? It does look upside down, doesn't it? Hang on, 2 secs. Blackwater by Michael McDowell, book 1 of, I think there's 6 novellas kind of in that collection. And that is my unread set of shelves. Wait, no. Banjolele, Mouse Mat, and the Yotsubas. Now, the Yotsubas are in a state of disrepair because my son has been reading them. I think he kind of vibes with Yotsuba, which I love. You know, he said to me, "What are these books about, Dad?" And I said, "Well, they're about a young boy who's moved to Tokyo with his father." And he went, "Oh, like me?" And I went, "Oh, yeah." So he's been picking them apart and reading them, and that's why they look a bit shabby. Okay, now we're on the red shelves. You'll notice that most of these I've read very recently if you follow the channel. The reason for that is just simply that I didn't fancy bringing a bunch of books that I have read years ago and hold no great connection to. So we've got Mr. Miracle by Tom King. We've got a book of poetry by Gary Lysing. We've got Severing Sun by Von Roycroft. We've got The Hobbit, a collection of poetry by the poet laureate Simon Armitage. Vinland Saga book 1. Books, I have volumes 2 through 13, but they're back in Scotland. I couldn't justify the wait. Human Chain by Seamus Haney. Mushroom Blues. Recently had Adrian Gibson on the channel. I'll link that down below. The Road, A Little Piece of Ground. Giver, Yotsuba. Gardens of the Moon, Dead House Gates. On this sort of intermediary shelf, we have my Kindle for my manga, and I believe this is a copy of the New Testament that I picked up when I was on holiday in India. That I thought was quite, it was free, and I quite like free knickknacks. So yeah, moving on. Now I get to sit down. I found a chair. Right. Moving on to this shelf, we have the broken binding editions of Malazan books 1 through 3. They look a bit kind of crinkled at the top, unfortunately. I did the best bubble wrapping I possibly could, and some damage was incurred. But what you're going to do, I still have the books. I'm very lucky to have the books. Forge of the High Mage, Hyperion, Suppressed Dead House Gates. Now, that's not going to stay there. This room is a bit too humid, I think, for that lovely, lovely book that cost an arm and a leg. So I will find somewhere else to put it. We then have the collected poems of Kenneth Koch. Now, I love the New York School of Poetry. Kenneth Koch is one of the weaker poets in the New York School of Poetry, but he's still got some good stuff. And it's really hard to find this volume of poetry these days, so I kept it. Art Criticism by Frank O'Hara, another member of the New York School who I adore. And then a book on, it's an education book, How to Teach Kids Writing. Move down to this shelf, Steam Deck. And then we just kind of have a collection of stuff, academic books, Japanese study material. This is an album of kind of banknotes from all my travels. I've got my yearbook from high school. Hang on, I have to show you my yearbook, don't I? Just 2 seconds, right? Let me find my picture. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure that no one else has to suffer like I'm suffering, because that's me as a 16-year-old. And this is a sign to you that it could always be worse. It could always be worse. The last book, believe it or not, there's one more book, and it's under these wooden slats. Because the last book under these wooden slats is Isabella Bird, who I mentioned in my 10 books in 10 days video. Now, the reason I'm doing a bit of a reveal here is that this book got absolutely mangled in the posting. I promise I tried to pack as well as I could, but apparently it wasn't good enough because this book got crumpled to heck, and it's been sitting under these slats for about a week. So are you ready? Moment of truth. You know what? That doesn't look too bad, does it? Let's see. Isabella Bird, famous explorer from 150 odd years ago, who is kind of very unrecognized these days. This is our travels in Japan. So I picked this up just before I left Scotland. I had to buy it online. You can see it's a very cheap, kind of old copy. But here we are. Hello, it's just a little addendum to the end of the video. I've got the camera quite high so you can't see the absolute state of my floor, which has a million magnets and Legos and train sets on it. Anyway, since making that brief bookshelf tour video a couple of days ago, I have now actually garnered a few more books in the interim that I think would be kind of egregious not to show to you. Given the fact that this is a collection of all the books I currently own. So I'm going to show them to you right now. I would invite you to stick around to the end because I really was touched by the last 4 books that came my way, all of them, but especially those last 4. So let's go. We're gonna turn this into a book haul, and that's fine. That's fine. They'll go on the shelf in a minute. So the first one I have very quickly is sound effect. Showa 1926 to 1939. So this is the first volume in Shigeru Mizuki's account of the Showa era of Japan. So there's 4 of them. I couldn't afford all 4. So I bought the first one, and here it is. I'm really looking forward to delving into this and kind of just continuing to broaden my manga horizons. Similarly, no, it's not similarly at all, this is something totally different. I found in a used bookshop here in Tokyo, Henry Lawson's book of short stories. And you know what? I do love digging through short stories. I'm currently reading Ray Bradbury, and he is breaking my TBR. You know, I think I need to make some more short story content on my channel, he says, as like the 10th thing that needs to go on his channel at some point. We'll get to it eventually. Okay, Stephen King's The Body. You might have heard of him. He's quite a niche little author who I won't dwell on. Collection of Japanese short stories. This is called The Snow Ghost. These are classic Japanese ghost stories. And look at that cover. Hang on, look at that. Brilliant. I mean, it's something out of like Uzumaki or something like that, isn't it? Maybe it's kind of the precursor, this kind of art, to Junji Ito's stuff. But again, short stories, trying to get a bit more Japanese literature under my belt. I only read about 10 or 12 novels in my last 3 years in Japan, and I think I can do better. For example, Seishi Yokomizo's Death on Gokimon Island. Now, apparently this is a classic Japanese murder mystery. It says so right on the cover, so it must be true. But I have seen Seishi Yokomizo's stuff kind of kicking around bookstores since I've come back. I don't know, maybe he's like the Raymond Chandler or something like that of Japan, and if so, I'm down. That being said, not read a single page of Raymond Chandler, so it's just lying through my teeth there. Okay, we're down to the last 3 authors, and I will leave you because this video is way too long as it is, but I'm very excited to get to Cold Silver for Souls by Tori Tekken, fellow booktuber. Tori, if you're listening, at one point on your Instagram stories, you had the song Providence playing in the background while you were marketing your book, and in the months since, this song has been unable to leave my head, so I do hold you personally accountable. Moving on, I've got 2 books by author A.C. Wilson. Now, my friend I Samwise recommended A.C. Wilson to me, and actually A.C. Wilson was very kind enough to send me the first 2 books of his Gwambi tetralogy. So this is the first one, My Father's Land. The second one is sliding off my lap as I speak. I'll be honest, I know very little about it, just what Sam and Amos himself have pitched to me. It sounds really good. Book 2 is here. It's My Father's Ghost. I don't know if I'll be able to get to these quite this year, but I'm definitely looking at them with some desire. And if Samwise, listen, if Samwise has recommended it to me, that's recommendation enough, because Samwise has read some really good books. And Empire of Silence. Right, and then we've got these last 4. And all those books I'm looking forward to reading, but these 4 in particular, I really, really, really am appreciative of. Because what happened was, as I told you earlier in the video, my suitcase / cardboard box got destroyed, or partially destroyed. And I told Marie Mullaney this, just kind of out of commiseration. I said, listen, I've lost all 4 of your Sangwhale Chronicles books. I had them in Scotland. You saw them in my live stream. Unfortunately, now they're gone. And just yesterday, in the post, I received these. New covers of Marie M. Mullaney's Sangwhale Chronicles. She, out of the kindness of her heart, has sent me all 4 as a replacement to my original set. And you know what, Marie? I've got to say, I do like the covers. I think the covers are an improvement, and I hope that when readers get their hands on them, they will be not quite as grateful as I am, because I got 3 copies. There's not that many bookshops in Tokyo. Certainly there's only 1 or 2 kind of English bookshops. So I'm very happy that I have accumulated a nice set of books, and that this reading journey I am on, especially in regards to my channel, is continuing to thrive and have some fruition. So I'll leave you there. Thank you for watching this addendum. Thank you for watching the video, and I will see you on the next one. Goodbye.